Okay, the time is now 6 o'clock. Today is Monday, March 10th, and we are the Greenfield Human Rights Commission. This meeting is being recorded by the Greenfield Human Rights Commission and City of Greenfield. Any other persons present is doing the same. You must notify the chairperson at this time. Anybody else recording? No? Okay, awesome. So, roll call of members. Vice Chair?
Yes.
It's gonna be roll call.
Aggie.
Here.
Kathleen.
Here.
Chris.
Present.
Uh, Paul.
Press.
And Linda.
Yes, present.
And I am here. We have a quorum.
Awesome. Now we're just gonna flip around a bit on the agenda. Right here, because usually we have an update from the mayor's office, but Aaron's working on other things, so we're just gonna scratch that off. We will go ahead though, and the approval and review of January 14th minutes. I do have some amendments over the last meeting from January 14th that I didn't see in the minutes. There was a motion presented that from now on for every agenda that public comments will be listed on the agenda, and it was moved and approved. So that needs to be changed. And on the new,
A new one.
yeah, so should just put in your notes, just that you have to amend the January 14th minutes. And that's basically it for that. Other than that, did anybody else have any other changes to the minutes that you need sent out? Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote as far as approval of the January 14th minutes. Nate?
Right. Aggie.
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Paul.
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Linda.
Also abstain, I was not here.
And yes from me.
Awesome. So public comment, we don't have public comment right now, even though it is on the agenda because it was approved. But as seasons change, we tend to have visitors, and this is where they will have their public comment. Thank you so much, because I believe Nate, you brought that up in January to have public comment. So thank you about that. New business, Racial Justice Rising, with Kim Wolcott, actually contacted, I was in a meeting last week with Kim, Gloria, and Tracy Talbert, as far as partnering AJR, Recovery Justice Rising, to have a town hall meeting. And not just in this meeting, just wouldn't be for town hall, but it would also be able to meet those communities as far as people who is not involved or would not come to City Hall. And that would be going to Lighten Woods, Oak Courts, and Greenfield Gardens. The reason for this is so that we could get more input from the community as far as how we can support them. Okay. Kim, like I said, could not make it to this meeting, but she's gonna be at our next meeting. So I just want to give you guys a heads up, so when that happens, you'll know what it is. As far as any updates, Nate? Yes.
There's somebody there.
That's Pam. Hi, Pam. She's from the public, zoomed in.
Hi, Pam.
Pam.
Maybe she can't hear us.
I can hear you. I have a 6:30 meeting for Housing Greenfield, so I'm only here for a minute.
Thanks, Pam.
Well, thank you for coming. Any updates from the vice chair?
I do not have any updates. The Stop the Hate Coalition was supposed to meet and has been postponed due to a student council field trip. So they will be, I will email them probably tomorrow to see when we're gonna postpone our meeting. I do not want to go farther than the end of March, because I want to start this rolling, as we wanted to launch it in the spring. So I will be in contact with them tomorrow and just get a overview of what students are looking at and etc. And that's pretty much my updates for this meeting.
What are you talking about?
Joanne Sheehan.
Excuse me.
It's the Stop Hate Coalition, which is.
Stop Hate Coalition.
Which is gonna be a coalition that's gonna be through the Greenfield High School students. As far as going out in the community, doing fundraisers and stuff to address some of the issues that, and parts of our community is being targeted in a negative way. So therefore, the young people are going to take it upon themselves to be a new voice.
And that's their high school, these are high school?
Yes,
Yes.
Great,
And what's the number of students right now?
we had 20.
20
That's great.
students.
wow.
So, yes, so thank you for that. We'll move on to introduction of new commissioners. This is where you can tell us a little about who you are and what brought you to the Human Rights Commission. So we'll start off with Linda. Hi, Linda.
Hi, I'm Linda Goldstein. My background is in nonprofit management and executive support, and I retired a couple of years ago from UMass, supporting a dean and associate deans at one of the colleges. Raised in the eastern part of the state and moved back to New England 30 years ago after being in Chicago, Virginia, and Texas. It's good to be
Oh,
home.
wow.
Oh, wow.
And it, and it's been 30 years when I can't quite wrap my head around that. And I've been in southern Vermont and western Mass for probably the last 16 or 17 years. And had a choice of where to move a few years ago, and Greenfield was it. So I am happy to be here. What brought me to the commission, I was having a discussion with a number of people regarding anti-Semitism and in Massachusetts, not just the country, but in Massachusetts, and the fact that the number of anti-Semitic incidents in Massachusetts have just skyrocketed over the last couple of years. Having had a discussion around that with Erin, she said, how about if you join the Human Rights Commission? And we don't have anybody Jewish on the Human Rights
Oh,
Commission.
it's great.
Oh,
You do now.
here we go.
Right. Not that that's my only focus by any means, but it's just another voice and working with the definition of human and making sure that there's that it's inclusive. So I'm really thrilled to be here and I
Oh.
appreciate the opportunity.
We're thrilled to
Well,
have
we're
you.
thrilled to have you. And
Thank you.
I second inclusiveness. I was just talking to my grandchildren about that. I don't like the word exclude. I like include.
And I'm thrilled that there is a Human Rights Commission in Greenfield. And it's going to be an interesting journey for me. I haven't done much in the way of, I do a lot of volunteering, but and I was on a planning commission in Halifax, Vermont for
Oh,
a
that's
year and a half or
different,
so.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was a whole, that was
Whole
an
different
interesting
thing.
experience. So I'm not particularly a political animal. But this just feels right. So, and hopefully I will learn a lot and be able to contribute positively.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Oh,
Oh.
Jimmy's joined too.
Hi, Jimmy. Hi, Paul, you're next.
Okay, so two things. I guess the easiest thing to say is I've spent most of my life trying to make things fair. And that stemmed from two different things. One, a horrible experience of being bullied in middle school, which allows you to understand other people, you know, having grown up. I grew up in New York City, and being white male in New York City is a great thing unless you're bullied, and then you feel what it's like to be the other. And the second thing was I was in college and studying to be a teacher, which I did for 46 years after that. and was lucky that one of my colleagues who had gotten a job, he was a Latinx colleague, and he had gotten a job with the Young Lords in Spanish Harlem, working at a street academy. But he then got another offer to have an even more effective position for him. And for some strange reason, he asked me if I would do that, because he had promised them he would do it, and if he couldn't get a replacement, he wasn't going to do it. And so I spent the next 3 months every day, most of the time still going home to my house, but sometimes staying over, working on 110th Street between Madison and Lex, and waving at the FBI agents on the building across the street. It's right for us. And so you could imagine how unfair I found how people in Spanish Harlem were treated versus the nice middle-class neighborhood I was growing up in. And I never thought of myself as privileged because my parents grew up dirt poor. I mean, 9 people in a family in 3 rooms and a
Right.
cold
how it
water
was
flat,
then,
et cetera, et cetera. But by the time I was growing up, we had some money, and my father had worked hard for years, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll tell just, one story, but there were 100 stories where I was by Madison Avenue. I saw somebody running with a knife after somebody down the street. A cop car comes, I wave him down, I stop him, and I say, "Hey, it's this guy running with a knife." He goes, "Not my precinct," rolls up the window
My
and drives
goodness.
away.
And you were a child?
Oh, no. I'm saying this was
Oh,
when
okay,
I
but
was
even so, that's.
there in Spanish Harlem. It didn't matter whether it was a child.
No, I know, I'm
In
just
the
saying,
neighborhood I grew up in, the cop would be running down the block or driving down the block after.
right,
And that happened in 100 incidents.
Mhm.
And it was a neighborhood that I couldn't survive it. And what I mean by that is I was 19 or 20. And if I had to live there full time, I would not have made it.
Mhm.
And the teenagers I was working with were excellent at navigating this whole situation.
Mhm.
And the next year, I was student teaching in probably the worst high school in the city, in Hell's Kitchen. You got thrown out of Franklin, or you got thrown out of Lane, you were sent to Harran, and that's where I was student teaching. And I just had a different view than most of the other teachers, because there were some teachers of color who were teaching there, but most of the other teachers who said, these kids just aren't succeeding. And my view was, these are the same kids I was dealing with who could navigate this whole situation that I absolutely couldn't. And I said, no, there's something wrong. We're doing something wrong. And because these kids are very talented, just not at what we're doing with it. And I then worked with my colleagues for the next at least 20 years, creating schools that were more successful with the kids. We created the first middle college high school, which the way you got in was you had left some other school. That was the entrance requirement. And you said, I want to come to this school. You were interviewed by other students. And we created a school where of those kids, we graduated about 84% of them over the 12 years I was there. And and it's been quote, quote, replicated around the country, blah, 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 blah. But I then went to work at universities because I saw teachers coming in and teachers in other schools were just not doing the stuff we were and that other more successful schools were doing. And I had this PhD and it was like, I didn't do anything with it for like 9 years because I said, if I can't be successful with these kids, what the hell am I doing training somebody else to be doing that? And I finally got to a place where we were being successful enough where I said, yeah, I might have something to do. And so I was at Brooklyn College and then at UMass Lowell and retired from Lesley University after running the middle school and high school program there for about a decade. And then once I retired, I could really be here because I commuted to Cambridge. So I was
Oh, my
in
goodness. And you lived in
Greenfield
Greenfield
12 years.
You did?
And so you do strange things for your kids. And so that I just, I finally, when I retired, which was in 2014, I then started to become a citizen of Greenfield, even though I had already lived here for 11 years at that
Right.
point. Because I could be here.
Yeah.
And so I worked, I've been on the board of the Friends of the Library, at Berlin and myself worked really hard to make sure we got a library with the Library Yes initiative, et cetera, et cetera. And I've been with FCCPR on the education task force since it was started. And we've gotten some pretty progressive people to be on the school committee. It took us years, but we still have not had great luck getting the administration of and it's been 4 of them now.
Yeah, that could be a long
To
conversation.
really work with. And so
Pick up the ball.
when you say, what am I doing here? Well, I'm here because of fairness.
Right.
But I'm and that would be everywhere in Greenfield. But I'm especially interested in fairness at the schools. And yes, the kids of color get the worst of it. But lots of kids get the worst of it. Some kids get the best of it. But the schools seem to be reactive rather than proactive. And so the wonderful stuff you're doing to a degree is reactive in the sense of once incidents happen, we really can work great things with this, but we don't train every kid to have conflict resolution skills. And that comes from elementary school through middle school, through high school. And it's not like, oh, there's no places that have ever done, there's places that have done this and done it very successfully. And so Greenfield's going to become a fairer place if we work with all the kids who go through the schools.
That would be wonderful.
Here.
So
All in for that.
Paul, that was wonderful. Linda, thank you so much for telling us about yourself and what brought you to the commission. Moving on, we'll do an update from subcommittees. The education, which is led by Nate. I know you already told us about the Stop the Hate Coalition, New Greenfield High School. Anything else you want to add to that?
What does that mean?
So the educational outreach committee, I am hoping now that you both are here, that you guys can be with me, because you guys have teaching backgrounds. So I'm going to be looking at and discussing with a bunch of teachers, and I'm going to be meeting with the superintendent, in a few weeks. I haven't emailed her, but in a few weeks, hopefully I meet with her to discuss. So hopefully she could be on this committee to give us updates when we meet. We haven't met yet because like I said, there's been so many events going on, and everybody's very, very busy. But when I get the email back from the superintendent that we're gonna meet, we'll probably meet at the high school for about an hour and a half to discuss some things. I might also get a school committee member on the educational outreach committee.
I'm sorry, this is for.
Education.
You can't have outside.
Oh, I can't have
No.
outside. Okay.
It would have to be another commissioner,
Okay,
but you can invite them to come to your meetings, but they can't be on the subcommittee with you.
okay. Even if we have them as like a presenter or something.
I mean, they could come and like I said, they could come to your meetings and give their input.
Mm.
But as far as serving on the subcommittee, because it's still a body that's part of the Maine Human Rights Commission body.
Yeah.
So they can't serve on subcommittee. But they could definitely give their input, like if you're doing a presentation and you want them to be involved, most definitely, but they
Okay.
can't sit on subcommittee.
Okay,
But like you have like, say Kathleen.
We could all go.
Yeah,
Right.
right. But so it's have another.
Gets a little technical, so as long
Yeah.
as you don't put it in the committee, you can go and not to say whatever you want, but be appropriate and helpful and all
okay,
of that.
that's, okay.
Just wouldn't be on the subcommittee.
Right,
So they're guests or
Right.
It would be
they're
guests.
co-workers, but they're
yes.
not
right.
part of that committee.
Yeah, but you can't say that they're part of the subcommittee because the subcommittee is still a branch off of the Human Rights Commission and they wasn't voted in.
Okay,
So, but I love what you're doing, but you gotta be very careful.
Gets very
Yeah.
technical.
um,
Less
You
is
can-
more, once again, less is more. The titles, like just being a
Mhm.
guest is way better than being, oh, this person from here, this person
Yeah.
from there. You're better off having, if the support of people as a guest.
Yeah.
And even on subcommittees, you have to put out agendas ahead of time
Mhm.
Right.
and all the same stuff that's here. Now, if you want an advisory, you can do that, because that's not an official thing. And I only say this because I'm on
Yeah.
other
Commission.
commissions.
Being a
But
guest.
start with your subcommittee.
Yeah.
But when you want to really get some work done and you need it quick and whatever, you can call an advisory. But you can't have more than, you can't have a
Quorum, I
quorum of
think.
your subcommittee.
Right,
It has to be less.
right.
So guests again,
Mhm.
I'll bring snacks.
Mhm. Perfect snacks.
Yeah.
Okay, it's over here.
Snacks.
And the subcommittee, you need to have at least 2 to 3 commissioners for a functionable subcommittee.
yeah.
So so you have 2 now, right? Okay, so you would need at least another one,
Yeah.
because I'm just a stand-in
Right.
until you get another person or another body. I think I'm just a stand-in on all these committees right now until you get some other people. So like, yeah. But as soon as you get other people, you guys can start meeting. And like I said, you have your meetings and then you bring it back to the body. And then from there, we can approve what the next step's going to be. Because everything, of course, it'd have to be a motion.
Yeah.
Voted on and move forward.
Yeah.
Okay, but great work. Grievances, we have none. That's, holding our breath. I think we haven't had a grievance since what?
That grievance we had.
Yeah. And,
We had
yeah.
a year, it's been a year.
Has it been a year already? Oh, yeah,
So
so
can you just kind of, for a newbie, explain a little bit about,
the grievance?
well, I'm not necessarily specifically about that grievance, but more in general, since I was not here. So somebody had to have
A
presented.
citizen
A
like
citizen.
brings it forward and then it's heard. And then there's a determination.
Yeah, after
And-
30-day
Yeah,
investigation, they say,
right,
they like to use the lingo.
right.
investigation.
Investigated, determined,
Okay.
Right.
resolved,
Mhm.
unresolved,
Mhm.
hot mess.
And that's by the by this. group.
Right, it's
Right.
brought forward by a citizen of Greenfield.
And there's a form online
Mhm.
for that.
Or you could
Everything's
just
on the
bring it up to city
website,
hall.
or you bring it in.
They bring it in the
Office, yeah.
They send it to us and then we have a formal meeting about
It
it.
generally goes through the mayor's office
Correct.
first, and then the they
Send it to us.
Send it to us. everybody gets it, like in an
Mhm.
email, everybody looks at it. The person gets to speak, there was public comment. It was my one and only.
Yeah.
Sounds like it was pretty heavy duty.
Well, I mean, well, it was the first for a lot of us,
It
you
was,
know, and it was definitely at the same time a learning experience. too.
Mhm.
So, you know,
It was
um,
sad.
it was, the situation was sad,
It
you
was a
know,
sad situation.
it was. But right now, where we are right now on the table, we don't have any grievances.
Just-
That subcommittee still needs 2 or 3 people to serve. Once again, I am a stand-in. But 2 or 3 people who would like to take that over or step in and learn more about the grievance procedure, you're more than welcome. I just want to say, Linda and Paul, you guys never got the new HRC brochure, correct?
I
No,
don't believe.
we
so.
did not.
Okay, so
That's my fault. I should have printed them out, but I also have the link in the old agenda.
Mhm.
So,
I couldn't open it.
really?
I know, I couldn't either. I thought it was neat.
And I saw, this agenda and I kind of like to print things off,
Mhm.
wouldn't allow me to print it.
That's weird.
So it wouldn't allow me to print it and
You know what I've done? This is just my work.
copy and paste it
Where
or something.
I take a picture of it and then I send the picture to Copycat and I print it. It seems to work better. I don't know, it's my phone.
I can,
my iPad, Whatever.
I can print it in color and
Oh,
give it to you guys. It's fine.
Or, you know,
like
more
color.
like the original PDF. You could just send. it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's-
Everybody has the original
yeah,
PDF.
the
We could just send it.
Yeah, the original PDF, I put it in there and I don't know how it worked. but-
And my other question,
Good work.
are
Sorry.
minutes supposed to be posted to the website?
No.
No,
Don't have to be.
okay.
I
I didn't know. I had- I
Yep,
had no
usually what
idea.
happens with minutes, they usually go out 24 to 72 hours after the meeting. But like I said, what happens November, December, we tend to take time off because of the holidays and a lot of people are out of town. And so we was just starting it up after the holiday season. So that's why the minutes went out late this time, but after this meeting, it'll be like 24 to 72 hours that everybody will get the minutes.
I'm so,
Yes.
new to procedure and all of that, just-
Email,
Mhm.
an email.
Oh,
to
yeah.
us.
Email.
and be kind when I screw it up,
No problem.
because it will happen.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I just want to make sure.
Not a problem. Let's see, so, community event subcommittee, that would be Kathleen.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know what community event we're having for the Human Rights Committee. But, do we have anything coming up? We were trying to do a couple
I-
of things,
I
but
might-
didn't.
Yeah, I know the last thing.
Fruitation.
Yeah, I know the last thing, Nate, you said you was putting together a calendar?
Yes, I was putting together a calendar and I've been trying to find events. A lot of events like I've been looking at, they've been in like May or June. So I do have the calendar like getting ready to go and
Okay,
it should be done within a week or two.
okay.
Yeah, just been
I
having,
know we have Juneteenth. That's always a big day. Empress does that and
yeah.
I do.
Is
Blooming
it already
Greenfield.
that time again?
Well,
I'm
it's
still
almost
remembering
spring.
From
And I'll be at the farmer's market for that.
The Pride Parade is coming up.
Yeah, the
The only
Pride
reason I
Parade
know
is
that is
right
Life Path.
before.
I had a Life Path meeting and they mentioned it in June.
So, yeah.
Last year, the Pride Parade and Juneteenth were like days apart. And
Days
remember,
apart.
we had that heat wave
Yeah, we
and
had
it
it.
was so horrifyingly hot.
They were like the year before,
Like-
it was great, cause
Right.
we was able to have the parade.
So horrifyingly hot.
Yeah,
For,
for last
like,
year.
It's the 7th. The
Horrible.
Pride Parade is
Right.
June 7th, just in
June
case.
7th.
And it was huge last year.
It was huge.
Huge turnout. Wait,
I thought.
I thought I melted.
Juneteenth is on Juneteenth.
Yeah, and it was a heat wave that day too. A lot of things got postponed.
Yeah.
In the heat, it was
Mhm.
like 100 degrees and that, it was just crazy.
But I was so thankful the fire department was able to
Yeah.
come out. Kids had fun. They
I know
were
the kids
doing
had fun. Yeah, the
Water.
water. No, it was that hot.
Yeah.
It was that hot.
And we still had over 100 people that came through throughout the day. So that was shocking to me.
Nate, what is there anything on the calendar, March, April and May?
I was actually gonna get to that
Oh.
under.
Yeah.
So,
I'll take it. You just.
yeah, so, other than that, so Kathleen, we're just gonna wait for Nate.
Yes, we are. Right, no problem.
Cause I know springtime's coming.
Right.
Everybody's coming out of hibernation. That's great.
Right, well, the farmer's market, I think is a great
Right.
place to be, and we have the Beef Fest, and I'm gonna be there with Blooming Greenfield, so if we
Okay.
wanna think of a little thing we can do in like May or something. Maybe
Okay.
we could look on the calendar and maybe there's a special day.
Yeah, you said the Blooming Bees
Bee Festival.
Festival. When is that?
That is, I believe, I'll have to look it up and send it to you for sure, but I believe it's the third Saturday in May. But the farmer's market opens April 26th. And I'm gonna be there with my Blooming Greenfield hat, giving out free flowers and getting people to sign
Oh,
up to be
cupcakes?
like Greenfield. It's not a food, it's a flower.
All right. so we-
But I'll have some for you.
Okay, that's farmer's markets, farmer market, the bee ceremony, and there's a couple different events that we have coming up for springtime. As far as tabling events, and I know it's great you work with Hannah at
Yeah,
GBA.
yeah.
I love her to death, so maybe even because you're working with GBA. maybe
A little
there's-
collaboration,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
You know,
thinking,
and we
yeah.
can partner with GBA as well, Greenfield Business Association.
Right, and they, like, last time we did that at the Vintage Days, yeah.
Mhm.
Nate.
I think we did cupcakes,
Bee Fest.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah.
Let's hear it for Google.
all right, awesome. So what we're going, so we're going to do, we do have the discussion, vote, and choose a date for the ceremony. That I did pull up the names and the reason why the individuals got picked. I know we usually do this behind closed doors, but this year we did have to make a change because we're in March. And this was supposed to happen in December.
Right,
So at this point, we just really need to get it done.
Yeah.
So whether it's behind closed doors or not, that's fine. We just have to get it done. But I will just skip down to old business before we get into the vote. I know one of the things and the reason why it's under old business is I always ask this question at the end of our meetings as far as what is our focus going to be for 2025? And I think this is really important for us to have a focal point or a theme for this year to work towards something instead of us being all over the place. This is definitely open for discussion as far as some ideas that you guys may have as far as what we would focus on for this year and rally behind for 2025. I'll open up to the floor for discussion.
One thing that I've been impacted by is the DEI executive order that was passed.
oh, yeah.
Not only that, it kind of gets me a little frustrated because like I really want to go to a HBCU college and the funding that they're cutting is making people who want to go to those colleges can't go because of like scholarship wise and which is quite unbelievable. But not only that, it's hurting a lot of kids in this district and I feel like we need to have more representation with this issue, not only with this issue, but immigration and, you know, layoffs of federal government. And but DEI is a big thing. Yeah, I just feel like it's not talked about a lot. And if we want to be as a if you want to be as a Commission of Human Rights, like we support rights for all people. And if we're supporting rights for all people, this is one of them that we should support for. And I'm not saying that this is the only one that we should do. We should do every right that everybody should have. But this is one that's personal to me, so.
Okay.
But I think you're absolutely right. I mean, we have all these different issues, but if you, our chair, is suggesting, and I think you're right, we have a particular focus this. I know I'm part of a group that works on International Women's Day every year. And this year, our focus was on immigrants and refugees. And, so it's really useful to give us a focus. I mean, we're concerned about everything else. But I mentioned is that we were talking about this, that the International Women's Movement or the women's movement was a DEI movement because we were saying, everything is DEI.
It's not a white male, it's a DEI movement.
Right.
I believe, I mean, it
Yes.
seems to be,
Right.
yeah, that seems to be.
And Women's History Month,
Yes.
no one has talked about Women's History Month. Like, let's be honest, like I do my own little thing with my brothers. Hey, this person, we're talking about this woman today and this is what she did and everything like that. But you don't see that in, not shouting out the schools, but you don't see that in the schools on the TV where they say, hey, this is a woman that is valued to the country, Michelle Obama, Rosa Parks, Greta Scott King, all those people and etc. Ellen DeGeneres, all those people are very, very, very important. And what our
Forget Oprah.
and Oprah, we love Oprah.
Oh, love
She gives cars to everybody. So there's like many, many different things, in my opinion, that are.
And I think that's a thing, just to follow up, if this is in order. I stopped in here at the office the other day because I was having a conversation with a friend the other day about whether we were a sanctuary city. And it was very funny because the women working in the office and somebody else here both thought we were. Turns out we're not.
We're not, yeah.
But we are a quote safe city.
State and
And
sanctuary.
the
are
whole
different.
Commonwealth is saying, we'd like to be a safe Commonwealth, not sanctuary. In fact, yesterday, Ed Markey came to a demonstration.
Were you in
400
Northampton?
people, yes.
I was too
400
with my
people.
grandchild. Yeah, it was
Yes.
great.
So.
The
I mean,
redhead.
things are happening. And, the insanity is happening in the White House, but the reaction, and sometimes some of it is reactive and some of it is proactive. And so I think it's very exciting to do things like to say, yes, this is International Women's Month, just like last month was what?
Black History Month.
Black History Month. Yeah. That, I mean, if we can't do that, if we can't say those things, then we are just ready to do the salute.
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, DEI is a great focus and from not to get political, but I said this at some meeting, I think it was a roundtable, and we were having a discussion on volunteerism, and I go to Stone Soup, volunteer at Stone Soup a lot. And they're, I think, an integral part of our community who does an outstanding job to make everybody feel like they're a part of it. Whether you're getting a meal, whether you're being a volunteer, whether you're serving, whatever, we're all one community. And I feel like it's really, really important right now. And it's going to get even more important with every passing day to be in a community and to have a focus on our community and what we can do to make it better. And I just think that's going to get us through. And I feel like we're in a luckier spot than a lot of other people. As much as there's a lot of work to be done, I feel like as a community, hopefully we could all come together and put everybody here first.
Well, when I see from the education standpoint, I mean, education's a huge issue. It's a huge business in Massachusetts.
And we spend a lot of
Right,
money.
and surrounding us with UMass and Holyoke and GCC, right, I mean,
Yeah.
right here. And the thing I saw on Facebook this afternoon was a letter this was Iowa State to a graduate student who has said, we have to rescind your acceptance to our graduate program because our research money's being cut.
Yeah.
So I mean, when you
Horrifying.
think about that, and what the impact would be, what the impact would be right in our backyard. And that's not even talking about the long range impact of all the, of
No,
not
it'd be
having the
horrifying.
education, right? It's horrifying. So the big question is, if the federal government is not going to provide this money, where does it come from? And how do we do that in our communities to make sure people are housed and fed? And
Just the basic necessities.
just the basic
Right.
pieces. If you're going to cut SNAP, if you're going to cut access to, to food,
That's where
and the
community is
prices
so
keep
important.
going, how do we, how as a community do we address that? And it's all part of people have a human right to being able to eat, to be able to have a roof over their heads.
Right, to
And
survive.
to survive.
Right.
And, and decent medical care. I mean, it's just, it's really a basic you know, it's a very basic thing.
It's called
Um,
human right.
It's called
Basic
human,
right.
it's basic human right,
I do
and
feel
you
like we're
don't
under
get to
attack.
define who's human and who isn't.
Because we're on the Human Rights Commission.
Well, but I mean, it just, who's, there seem to be different categories of humans and that group doesn't get.
Yeah.
If you're in that group, no, that you're not included in that. If you're in, so making sure that our community
Mhm.
has what it needs and how do we do that? And how do we partner with other organizations who are helping to provide that so that they know that on the governing level, there is support for the work they do, not only in word, but in action.
I had a question, for in-person commission. I heard that the city council or president of the city council, Councilor Wondolowski, she voted or she wanted to have a homeless task force, I believe. I saw it in the article. Now, would commissioners allowed to sit on that?
I'm not really.
Like if it was like if they had like, cause they're looking for volunteers or something.
Yeah.
But like if we could sit on here and that.
Yeah.
I think it'll be, I think.
That's a task force. It's not a
Not a
commission.
commission.
I think
That's
that's.
what, that's good, because
is
I
a
think,
task
I
force.
think it would be great for at least maybe one or two of us to serve on that or to
Yeah.
just be there because to hear, our standpoint or to make sure that,
Well, just make sure that their message
it's,
also
it's
helps.
going out there too.
All of this, and I've been hearing you all say it, it's rotates back on every topic you've spoken about. The thing that I was most aghast at this year, and boy, there's a lot to be aghast at, happening in Greenfield was the day after the election. In 4 first grade classrooms, kids of color were bullied by other first graders
It's first
who
grade.
said,
because I have a second
you
grader.
go back to your island, you go back, et cetera,
Really?
et cetera.
Yeah, because I have
And
a second grader who was in the school where it happened.
there, and it is,
That is.
Well, my grandchild.
right, and obviously it's
A letter went
not
home. It was,
first graders thinking this, that's coming from their home.
right,
and-
what they've heard.
Yes,
Mhm.
and,
That's what it all has to do.
Mhm.
They get it from somewhere. So it's
and,
coming from.
Awful. And then it's like a wildfire.
right.
Yeah.
But it is going, and the reason I say that is that, well, we're back in education again.
Yeah.
And we're back in education. My wife, who Empress knows, Tim Walcott, is the grants manager at STIC.
Right.
3/4 of their grants are about DEI.
Mhm.
So all those kids who are living on the funds they're getting from that are not going to be in school next year.
Right.
And I assume you all know what STIC is, Springfield Technical Community College. And I'm sure that Greenfield GCC it's not as diverse, but any DEI stuff that's coming in there is going to be gone. And your social studies teacher has to be really careful what they're saying eventually, because the city is not going to get federal funding.
They're gonna, right, it's horrifying.
Blah, 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 blah. It just keeps going down the line. So I'm saying all of this because we have to pick some priorities about DEI. Because you can't do everything.
Right.
No, but one would think and DEI is embedded in a human rights commission.
Yeah, it's what we're about.
It's what we're about, and I don't know
Yeah.
that it's actually necessary to define DEI within a human rights commission with people who are looking for a reason to defund or, or get rid of a commission that is, or a program. So if if you're dealing with human rights, to have to break it down into DEI I almost look at that as being redundant. I don't know when they'll start coming after human rights commissions, or if they'll go so far as to realize that that's actually what this is exactly what it's about.
It's hard to
Am I
say.
making any sense? I mean,
No,
this is, you
When
know,
I said we have to be particular, I'm saying, I think what you were speaking about, Nate, is helping people. I mean, you're in a spot, other people are going to be in a spot. Right now, my just personal opinion, that the immigrants in town are in the worst spot. And we have to figure out how to build community around them. And the only way you build community around them, of course, is to build community in general. But they really need to be protected at some.
Can I just jump in there?
Sure.
Yes, that's true, but they're not the only ones that need that protection either. Because there's already a group of individuals, minorities, that was out here before immigrants came,
Oh, yeah.
that still wasn't protected.
right.
Okay, that's still,
Oh,
that's was shown prejudice and discrimination, and we're still fighting for that.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, but I like where you're going with it. But as far as the focus for this year, I hear a lot for DEI, but there's also domestic violence that has also been on the increase in Greenfield. And also our homelessness issue is just like,
It's out of control.
it's out of control.
I was, and I'm not
All
trying
around.
to,
So we are
whatever,
all around human
out of
rights.
control.
Exactly.
Right.
And then somebody reached out to me from the Franklin County Jail.
Hi, happy belated.
Hi, Jenny.
Happy belated.
Thank you. Happy birthday. Meeting, but thank you all for doing this. And then somebody reached out to me the other day from the Franklin County Jail. Because as far as partnering with the Franklin County Jail, as far as the inmates. And what goes on is a lot of people who are locked up, they don't receive rehabilitation services. Oh, did I not hold time?
That's all right.
But they don't
Okay.
receive rehabilitation services until they're about to be released. So take, for instance, somebody's in there for domestic violence, right? There's nothing that's done with the person until 2 weeks or a month before they're released back out into society. And what happens is they end up repeat offenders again. So what they're saying, what they brought to me is that there has to be a way that because they don't have a panel at the Franklin County Jail. No advisory, but there's no advisory board.
There was years ago, but I think it got
Right.
discontinued, yeah.
Exactly. So there's no
There was,
advisory board.
when I was on Nelson
Yeah.
years ago, I mean, a
Mhm.
long
As
time
far as
ago.
bringing-
There's no mandated anger management for
Mm-mm.
people who
Nope.
are
You'd be
incarcerated.
surprised.
Exactly. And this is.
You'd be
Well,
very
yeah.
surprised.
I mean, if you look at just the prison system in general,
Mhm.
Yeah, but
the whole
Mr.
thing.
Donlin is supposed to be. the
Again,
star.
another instance of putting a lot of money in a place and not getting everything you should be
Right.
getting out of it, but
Because I was actually
this is a
shocked.
big,
Yeah,
big problem.
I was shocked too, that there's no advisory board to support these individuals.
Because how would you
How
recover?
would you recover?
You wouldn't.
You know, so what it is they are looking to have an advisory board for the Franklin County Jail. Basically where we would start making these suggestions. Okay, to those in charge who makes the big decisions of what would benefit the inmates.
Like
So
that idea.
basically would be to support the individual from the time they see the judge up until the time they walk out the door. You know,
Right.
and basically what would happen is this advisory board would be different organizations from the community. Like you would have somebody say, I've talked to Ben, you know, Ben over at the courthouse.
Yeah.
Yep, level.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost like mentoring.
Yeah.
in a
So
different
I
kind of
spoke
sense.
with Ben, he's my Rotary brother, so he's definitely, because he sees it all the time. So I spoke with Ben, he's on board. I talked with Amanda from Elquick as far as to bring in that domestic violence piece for like individuals, to bring in that education piece. And there's other, take for instance, like Recovery Project.
Yeah, they do a great
Yeah,
job.
the recovery project, just to have a different group of individuals that will serve on this advisory board to help these inmates and try to put something in place for them to
It
try
would
to
be
help
great
them.
to set something up almost like what you do in recovery or an
Yeah.
EA, where you have a sponsor and you have someone where
Right.
you could call and say, hey, look,
Mhm.
you know, Paul, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? Kind of thing,
Exactly.
like just
Yeah.
having a person who's of good standing,
Exactly.
you know, to bounce things off of and, you know, and I think it's kind of reprehensible that we just send people right back out there without any of
And
that.
if you're talking about community,
Right, it's part of it.
if if you broaden it to talk about community
Mhm.
and you are putting people back into the community,
Mhm.
you're right, you're just creating a cycle.
That's
Um,
a cycle.
You know, you're just creating a cycle. But again, it is part of the bigger picture of what does our community look like?
Exactly.
Without othering people.
No, I
Okay,
agree.
and dealing with people's humanity.
Mhm.
This is not to say that the individual doesn't have some responsibility for their own behavior, because
of
they
course
do.
they do, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, somehow
Have that support.
having the support makes all the difference, and the idea that all these people are doing is sucking down our resources.
Mhm.
No, if we want them to be productive members of the community, you have to make an investment in them,
Exactly.
you know, and that goes
And
for all of
sometimes
us.
it's time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really just something as simple as someone's time.
Exactly. A lot of people that goes through the system don't even know how to fill out an
Right.
application.
Well,
A job
and so that
yeah.
we offered, right? So this is just a FYI. During our grievance process, I gave in Empress,
Mhm.
people our personal information
Mhm.
to a point to say, we can help you fill out forms for
Mhm.
housing. Not one person came forward though, interestingly enough. So that's problematic.
Yeah, and that's the and again.
I'm like,
part
I'll
about
buy you a
being-
coffee. I'm
Yeah.
even bribing people. with
So the
nice
piece about
coffee.
being proactive as opposed to reactive.
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly. Exactly.
Is what's so important.
Mhm.
And there are unfortunately lots of people who want to, excuse my, bitch and moan and
Right.
not actually do anything
Right,
about
don't
it.
want to be.
We know
proactive.
we know people like that in our private lives.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
I mean, it's,
Mhm.
yeah, it's just, are you going to do something about it or are you just going to complain about it?
Exactly.
You're going to just complain about it?
Yeah.
Talk to somebody
and-
else.
yeah.
Yeah, please talk about it. Yeah, because I've heard it 20 times.
Yeah.
And 20 times I've given you some input and you're still, we're not doing that anymore. So it's the same, how are we proactive and productive?
Exactly. Going right back to what Paul said, and that was, and I love when he said that, we need to be more proactive. And how, and what we say and what we do, and not so much as reactive. So on the table right now, that's 4 focus points.
Right.
I'm gonna give everybody time to think about that. I'm not gonna bring it up because I know we have to jump into our nominations now. But Nate, can you please make sure you put this in the minutes? It's to DEI. So the focus points are DEI. The second one is domestic violence, sexual assault. The third one is homelessness. The fourth one is criminal justice, outreach and education. Any other focus points?
I think that's probably enough for 1 year.
Yeah, we're sort of.
No, what
sort
it
of
is.
jumped over
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, what
I
it
mean-
is, yeah. So what it is that we would choose next month.
Which
Which
one
one
we're
is
gonna.
That would be a whole lot.
Right, wait a minute.
You know, so what would happen is when we choose what our focus points is, that's going to be our focus point. So a lot of the work that we would do, take for instance, if it's DI, that's what we focus on, advocating, promoting DI, you know, have discussions with the community at Johnson Community Center, like we usually do, go into these communities, get feedback, partner with RJR, which we're going to do anyway. You know what I mean? But like, those are some of the steps. We would definitely be active. If we're gonna say we're gonna do DEI, we're going to do DEI through 2025. That's going to be our focus point. Everything is gonna be focused DEI. Same thing if it's domestic violence, sexual assault. It's gonna be the same thing, homelessness, criminal justice. That's where we're gonna put our energy at. So, like I said, we could come back next month and we'll have a vote and discussion over what is going to be 2025 focus point. Wonderful.
Super.
That,
Super.
you just faced it, okay, just.
Yes.
for clarification. You talked about the Racial Justice Rising
Mhm.
and a partnership. What is the plan to work with them?
Okay, so what happens, because I don't want to overstep Kim. But what it is that Racial Justice Rising, along with Gloria Matlock, they want to come and have a discussion over the HRC, partner with them, have a town hall to discuss some of the issues and how we can heal as a community. But what happens is it wouldn't just be per se at town hall, because it was my suggestion at that meeting that you're not going to see a lot of us sitting up in town hall. It's just not going to happen. And if you're talking about reaching certain groups of people, you're not
You
going
have to go
to,
to them.
you have to go to
You
them.
have to go.
Right, because I was actually saying earlier, I'm tired of sometimes being the only Black person in meetings. I'm tired of being trophy doll. I'm
Well,
tired.
stay here.
And I'm gonna say even Nate, say as a young Black man, why do certain people always have to be the only Black person in the room? No. So therefore, what happens, we have to go to where these people are and let them know they're part of our community and have these discussions and get feedback. Because we're not really open. And like I said, they're not gonna come to us. And just like you said, we need to go to
And,
them.
yeah, and I think the other interesting thing is that the assumption is that that population isn't also willing to volunteer,
Right.
isn't willing to, be part of the solution. And if you are going to where people are,
Right.
yes, they're going to vent and they're going to do a whole lot of it.
Mhm.
But then the next piece of that is, okay, so what can we do?
What can
Not
we
just
do?
you could,
Right.
what can not we do?
Exactly.
What can, the collective
Exactly.
we do to solve that? Okay, it requires doing more than just
Mhm.
bitching about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And among other things, it's showing up at their things. That's why I'm
Right.
asking about a calendar, not our specific calendar, but what is the Greenfield calendar? What is happening that we can show up? Like I was talking about going to the Kwanzaa thing, that it was important for us to be there. It's important for us to show up at the places where, because there are communities, there are people who won't come to a town meeting.
They're not.
And I've even found it disappointing, I mean, just personally, that there wasn't more of the community out for that menorah lighting.
Mhm.
It's just like,
Yeah.
ain't just for me.
Right.
We're talking
Yeah,
about.
I don't know
we're
how
talking
it
about
wasn't
light.
publicized this year, because in the past it has been.
Last year.
It was publicized. It actually
Okay.
went a week long.
Yeah.
Right.
But again, the part that just said, I would even talk to my own friends, who would just say, be there and say, yeah, okay, so you've got a group of, you're also putting a certain level of your safety at risk. Is this going to be a safe place for me to be?
And that's where we allies need to be there.
And that's.
I'm anti-Zionist, but I'm pro-Jewish.
But I mean, good. So, that's important. Or having gone to an event where there were Israeli and Palestinian women doing, it was
Yeah.
actually the church where Stone Soup is. And there was a police presence outside. And I went in, I did, I stayed for a while. And when I left, I said thank you for being there. And isn't it too bad that you need to be? And they were there because there had been an incident the night before when these women had done their thing, like in Deerfield or what. And so, but being there, am I taking a risk by putting a menorah in my window? Somebody going to throw a brick through that? That stuff, I mean, I've dealt with anti-Semitism my entire life, but that stuff, I didn't have to worry too much about my physical safety. Now I'm worried about my physical safety. And that's hard.
It is hard. And honestly.
And I can't even begin, I'm not in your shoes. I can't begin to know what that is for someone of color.
Yeah, so it's like, and I don't want to take away, I want to jump into the vote, and that's my biggest thing. Everybody keeps asking me, Empress, are you going to do Juneteenth this year? I'm really like watching the political environment out here. Because I have to think not just of my safety, but the safety of the community as well. So that's just not a quick decision to make because there's so many other elements involved in
Do
that.
you think they're gonna roll back Juneteenth, Because it is a federal holiday. I haven't,
Federal holiday.
it's interesting. I didn't think much about it until now you mentioned it. But there hasn't been any talk of I don't know that they can roll that back.
No, I don't actually think that's on his radar. It's just like,
Right, well,
um,
it's still
but,
out there,
well,
but
I know.
whatever.
No,
We
yes.
spend all day on that,
but the other piece is,
but I never gave
we
it.
also can't hide
Mhm.
because,
Exactly.
because that's the other
Yeah.
piece.
I think they
Yes,
should come out like bang.
yes, there's a risk, but if you hide, you're giving into the fear.
Well, the risk
and-
gets bigger.
And,
The risk,
and,
yeah. the risk gets-
and then you're saying that that behavior is okay. You can bully us
Mhm.
because we cower.
We're coward.
Yeah, it's a good word.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's hard. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a hard decision.
It definitely is, because let's be real, the KKK was just recruiting in Turner's Falls. Let's be real. Yes, the KKK was just recruiting in Turner's Falls.
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
then
so-
up the hill too.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
yeah.
all around.
yeah. So we have to be realistic when we talk about that.
Right.
They are right here in our backyard.
And I get that,
Right.
which means it's more important.
Mhm,
It's more important
right.
that the community
Mhm,
make it very clear that that's not acceptable.
mhm,
And so it's not just people of color who are there for Juneteenth.
mhm,
It is as many of us as possible who can take that time and be there.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
definitely,
it's hard.
yeah, and I definitely want to say that I've had, the majority,
Turner's Falls.
yeah,
Wow.
the majority of the people who have supported Juneteenth has been non-black or non-brown. This is my 4th year doing it. I think that's when I first met your wife. My first one. But the majority of the people who have supported, whether monetary or vending wise or promoting, has been non-brown or black people. A lot of people who did come in, because I was inviting the MLK Junior School of Excellence to come down from Springfield, so they brought with their parents when the kids danced and stuff like that. So, if it wasn't for that demographic of individuals, I think for the past 3 years, Juneteenth probably would have flopped. Yeah, because there was like no interaction, nothing, you know? So,
Well, this goes back again to the work that you're thinking of doing with RJR, going out
to the
to the communities
Yeah.
and say, it's you.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
And,
You know, and-
yeah, and we all need to show up.
Yeah,
Well, and we need, I'm always disappointed at how many people show up there. I mean, I've been at
mhm,
And it was like the first time I was in a gay pride parade in New York City, there were 30 people
mhm.
there.
Yeah.
A bit more now. No, it's just, and we might need to think about when it is, because I knew a whole bunch of people who would have brought their kids
Mhm,
after they came home from work, had
Mhm.
been to that.
mhm.
And so, and again, I'm thinking of the people who, and now I'm also mostly thinking of white people,
Mhm.
but who really would come to that and
Mhm.
really would support it, but it wasn't at a time.
Right, and a lot of
when it
people
was during-
don't have the
when it
day
was
off.
during- They don't,
Right.
Right.
you know.
But like I said, the first 2 years, I mean, it was like so many people, you can't even count. I mean, even like last year, WWLP News, everybody was there. But I think the only reason why it probably wasn't like that last year, because we was in the middle of a ridiculous heat wave.
I mean, they called so many things off.
Yeah.
Because it was
I
so.
couldn't have.
Parade
I-
was
it was,
canceled.
yeah, the parade was
I
canceled
couldn't have been
because it was
outside.
just that dangerous.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
like the
bad.
3rd day, I couldn't go. I was like
Yeah.
sick, the whole thing.
I mean, the heat.
So
was just
that
not-
was really just a weather thing. It really was.
And I know I hung into like the last.
So sad because there's so much things going on.
Oh, and so much
So
work
hot.
to just put it together. Oh, my God.
Together, because especially with Juneteenth, it's like a one-woman machine. I mean, I do everything. I do the
Well, but you
promoting,
don't have
the
to.
marketing, and I do everything like that. So I put everything together. So it's like, this year.
You got a team.
Yeah, we have a team.
17.
All right, so let's move on. It's 7:04.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we have fun. And I'm kind of glad nobody's here, so no one went out. So it kind of worked out. So we have 7 individuals who was nominated this year. And the Human Right to HRC Awards. What happened? Second year, I kind of brought it back. There's a plaque out in the hallway, so every year we put the individual who won on the plaque on the wall. So, this was always my goal, was to bring this back, because before I took over, as chair, it was like, what, 7 years?
Yeah.
To say if it had anybody. So as everybody knows, last year, it was, not last year, because we're behind. In 2023, Gloria Matlock was, nominated and won the award. What usually happens, I end up purchasing, a trophy. We have a huge ceremony. All the nominees also get a certificate, but there's only one trophy that goes out, that's to the grand prize winner. It's usually a great thing. I had singers come out. We did a great job with that. I think Kathleen is the only one who was sitting on the commission at that time. Right.
That was good.
Yeah.
And is there, I mean, does the town provide a budget for any of these things?
We-
I'm just curious.
Not much.
Not everything that we do is covered under the budget because there's
Right.
stipulations. So some things it's just, I mean,
I'm just curious as to,
Good
Yeah.
question. What is her?
you know.
It's
um,
very small.
250. We're gonna see, I'm gonna talk to Erin to see if it was increased, but the last we checked for last year it was 250.
So we have a.
We have a
pretty
very-
small budget.
$250.
Yeah.
At least it's not $2.50.
Right, exactly. So, okay, so the first one that's up is Don White. Does anybody know Don White? Okay, so the individual said he works with individuals, mostly unhoused or struggling with addiction, to help find housing and work. He puts in the extra mile to work one-on-one with individual needs and advocate systematically for them. So that's Don White. 2 is Og Buxton. They said that they work tirelessly to uplift the queer community of Greenfield and the surrounding area through owning 10 Forward. They invest countless hours and money and opportunities into burgeoning queer artists. I believe they were also on the list 2023. I believe so. 10
I believe they were.
The third one is Jason Rivard. It says that Jason goes beyond to help and assist others while he is going through so much himself. Proud of him. That's basically all that's said about Jason. We're proud of him too. 4, Jane Finn. They said she has always been a human rights advocate. She has dedicated her time in educating her community about gay trans rights and equal opportunities for men and women of all ethnicity. She is a foster parent and donates her free time to feeding and clothing the indigent in Greenfield. That would be Jane Finn. Next, we have Devon Brown. They said Devon is a hardworking and high-achieving student. He has become a leader of our school community in his work with the People of Color group. This group of students has developed curriculum about racism that will be delivered to our 8th grade classes and classes at the middle school. Devon is articulate and respectful in handling this challenging topic.
Wait,
Nate
Show
has
him.
his hand up.
Sorry, I don't know, can we talk about the person?
Yeah, we're just gonna go.
Sorry, go ahead, you go through it.
Yeah, we're gonna go through this 7, yeah. The next one is Wendy Goodman. Wendy was a former Human Rights Commissioner for the city's Human Rights Commission. Wendy Goodman was designated as the city liaison to the new Haitian arrivals in February 2024. Wendy's service in the Peace Corps, living in Haiti for nearly 8 years and speaking Creole, as well as having personal experience with Haitian immigrants, made her well suited for the position. Her liaison status allowed her to interact with various service providers to serve newly arrived Haitian neighbors. Wendy was able to introduce Haitian arrivals to community agencies as she worked with Bay State Franklin Medical Center, the Department of Children and Families, the Town Health Department, police, lawyers, courts, Department of Motor Vehicles, employers, and landlords, as well as our community at large in her efforts to support these new residents. Wendy's translating, connecting, and advising for many interactions was critical to mutual understanding and successful outcomes. She received appreciations and accolades from various providers for her efforts, helping with translation and other complicated issues. Wendy also worked with REACH, which offers early childhood intervention for in-home visits, not just in translation, but also with referrals and in support of culturally appropriate actions and problem solving, including sponsoring Haitians with their road tests. Wendy's frontline service to help those in need facing various human rights challenges make her a worthy candidate for this year's Human Rights Commissioner Award. This was brought forth by Councilor Perry. That's with Perry, Precinct 7. And lastly, Nancy Hazard. Nancy has been passionate, determined, and hardworking for decades in efforts to address the crisis of climate change. She focuses on what can be done locally to reduce carbon emissions and protect the environment. She has worked diligently over the years in projects with Greening Greenfield. Isn't that what you're a part of?
No, but I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Restoring native plants. See, I lost my place. Greenfield, planting trees and pollinator gardens, restoring native plants and eliminating non-native plants. She's been researching and educating on the importance of native plants on the whole ecosystem and initiating city projects based on this research. Nancy has also written and been awarded grants to finance these various topics. Great group of individuals. I will say before we start the discussion, the last time we did this in 2023, because the winner had more than one nomination and it came from 2 or 3 different individuals, that was definitely an easy pick. So there really wasn't a lot of.
Wasn't easy.
Yeah, but it really wasn't a lot of kickback from the community on how we made this decision. This is not going to be the case this year. Nobody got more than one nomination. Everybody got one. So,
Where do people get nominations?
remember when they sent out the forms?
No.
Remember when the city sent out the forms for the HRC nominated, so people were able to put in whoever they
It's
wanted.
on the
to-
website.
Yeah. Whoever they.
Anybody can nominate anybody, but the woman we picked in 2023 had several
Yeah.
different nominations.
So therefore.
These were all just singly nominated.
Exactly. I know it came up on a few different posts as far as how that, how did we choose that individual?
Right,
So
right,
we really didn't get a lot of kickback because
Right.
all we had to say, she had 2, 3
right.
people that nominate her. But like I
And
said,
she really
yeah,
was a wonderful,
Gloria.
yeah, did a wonderful
She's a great
job.
person.
yeah. So, we have Don, Jason, Jay, Jane, Devon, Wendy, and Nancy. I'll open the floor up for discussion. Nate, can you, put a timestamp of 7:12,
Yes.
so we can discuss these nominees.
Are we gonna motion to open this discussion?
Yep. Motion to open. Yes,
I'm making the motion to open. You need a
is second?
Sure, second.
Second is gonna be, Paul. Okay, I'll approve?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do roll call vote for it.
Right.
Okay, we're just gonna move on. All right, so we have 7 nominees. Does anybody want to add to any of the information that we had just regarding these 7 nominees? We have 17 minutes.
I'd like to hear what Nate has to say about the person.
1
Is
second.
it Devon?
Yeah. Devon Brown. A lot of people at our school picked him. We had a little mini thing. He's not only my best friend, but he's also my president for the Students of Color group.
Hey, wait a minute, it's just some contradiction.
No, I'm not saying everyone should pick him. I'm just saying who he is as a
Yes.
person. He's nice, he's kind. The work that he does is very important to a lot of students, and he knows the work that he does is not only helpful, but it's respectful. Devon is a person that I work with at the FERCog with Naomi Blitzo. He's a person that I work with in my classroom. And he cares about everybody regardless of your color or how you identify yourself. Not saying everybody should pick Devon, but Devon is a student who works hard like any other Black person to get for what's right for himself. And I see it every day. I mean, he got into BU, like, and that's a hard school to get into. And he got in, he's going in for political science. And he's a wonderful candidate and nominee. And I'm glad that the students were able to pick someone that they feel comfortable to be put in. So I have to say, no.
Anybody else?
Well, I'll say this, I'm happy to hear that about him. I didn't know about this thing on everybody in town except us, except I knew about this opportunity to vote, because I don't go to the website enough, I guess. I'm really impressed hearing this about this young man. I think Nancy Hazard's a wonderful person. I don't think she's in competition for, or a runner for the Human Rights Commission as much as some other commissions.
Right. She does do a wonderful job, but I would agree with you that, right?
Yeah. I think Wendy Goodman has done remarkable work.
Mhm.
I agree.
Asian people.
Wendy,
Yeah.
yeah.
That she has been an advocate, and she has really had to struggle against
All kinds of.
so many odds.
So much.
So those are the two people that I would think, and I don't know the others, they may be sterling, wonderful characters, but.
I don't want to take a lot of time on it, but I think we need a new process for the future. Most of the time, I've been on a committee where people are going to get an award. They have to have 3 long letters from outside, at least 3 long letters from outside people to be nominated. And I'm only saying that because I feel totally ignorant. These first 4 people, 5 people may be fabulous. I just don't know them.
Right.
I,
No, I
like
agree.
yourself, know
And there's nothing
Nancy,
to
and I
find out
know the
about them.
work.
Nobody
And I'm
else
so
is.
glad you're here to tell us about Devon.
Yeah.
But I want to know all of that about
I
everybody.
pretty much only know it about Wendy and Nancy. Those would be the only 2 I would.
You know,
know
and
there.
I just want to say, I agree with you. The work Nancy does is wonderful,
Right, me
but
too.
it's not for this award. And
Right. Nancy does do an outstanding job, but that really wouldn't, I mean, I guess it ties in and good for the person who nominated them, that the climate change and
Yes.
everything does,
Oh, yeah.
benefit all of us as humans, but as a Human Rights Commission, is that the segue? Probably not, so.
I would I would throw my weight behind Wendy. Because even before her working with the Haitians that came here, she was on the Human Rights Commission.
Always.
Yeah,
Done a
and
great
when I
job.
first started, Wendy was there and, and that's how I got so community involved. I won't say just because of that, but I respected a lot of the work that Wendy did. And Wendy's just a fair person, she wears her heart on her sleeve. She's been talked about, spit on, talked down, and she still comes out on top.
Doesn't take no for an
And doesn't
answer.
talk- No, and she
No, she
fights
keeps
to-
on going.
That's right.
and she just doesn't advocate for and this might be what she's advocating for this moment, but she's always out there in the community,
No, I
whether
agree.
it could be homelessness this week, it could be Haitians next week, it could be domestic violence.
Yeah.
She always has her hands involved in everything. Wendy's always been like that. And I feel as far as when you're talking about community, Wendy is definitely.
She's all of it, yeah.
She's all community. She's in the schools, like Wid was saying, she works with DCS, she works with DMV, she's everywhere. She does everything for everybody. And she doesn't get caught up in the politic piece of it. She just does what she feels is right. And like I said, people that.
We need more Wendy's.
Yeah, and people that know Wendy knows this is who Wendy is. Wendy is a genuine person.
I agree.
She's very strong-headed and very independent, but she means well in everything. So that's how I grew.
And she gets results.
And she gets
That's
results.
the other, when people say, oh, somebody's too direct or too this or too that, the bottom line is, what are the results?
Right.
Because if she were as impossible as some people say,
Right.
she couldn't get the results that she gets.
Right.
It's that, I mean,
That's a great point.
it's
Absolutely.
really clear, and I've heard it for myself. You know, if I was as much of a pain, I couldn't have gotten done the things that I got done.
Right.
Because when you're dealing with people, you've got to, you know, there's so much finesse that has to be done in order to do those things. And I don't know her, but I've been reading about her for a long time. And, you know, and she really stands up.
Mhm.
I'm very
And I mean,
positive
like,
about that.
yeah, and just like what you said, and like with Wendy, because she doesn't just focus on one piece of an issue in the community. You know, she focuses on all different pieces and she has her hands in everything. So, like I said, I would support Wendy Goodman. I definitely like everybody else's, as far as what people put in. But I feel like personally, if you're talking about community, I think that Wendy definitely deserves it.
Is Devon a senior?
Yes.
Anybody else?
But I think you're right about coming up with a process and a little more around.
Well, what happened last year, just to give a little background, is because of the pandemic and because of everything that, had gone on. We hadn't had a person of the year for years. So we kind of just adapted how it had been. So now going through it now for the second time, I think we can all, we have to change the process a little
Yeah.
different. It had been a while since we had.
I'm not.
Oh, no, I'm
being-
just
being
giving you
so
some
negative, just-
background. I'm not thinking it that at all. And not to get off subject, but I'm thinking, because my brain is always crazy. We didn't have the ceremony and we had left some money in our budget so that we could have our ceremony. And does the budget carry over from year to year or do we lose it?
For 2024?
Yeah.
It should still be there because we didn't utilize it at all.
That's what I mean, because we had saved it for the
Right.
thing, so
Right.
so that would be good, right? Because we usually spend a pretty
Is it,
high percentage of our budget on the ceremony for the person of the year, and we have snacks and we have a trophy and buy little things, so that's what we had.
is the
we
budget
didn't-
July to July, or is the budget,
I
is it the fiscal year, or is it is it the year, is it the
I would believe it's
calendar
April.
year?
I believe it's April,
1st.
yeah,
But that's
It's just
because
curious.
that's usually like what
yeah.
fiscal year usually starts.
So-
Because I mean, for the-
But we
for the
didn't use
state,
our
it's
money
July.
last year very much. We didn't use hardly
So we can,
anything.
if we can ask to have it rolled over into
Right.
this year.
Right,
So what's the plan for the ceremony?
We haven't got that far.
we haven't,
What did you do last year?
What, 2023?
yeah.
Where did you do the last
Yeah,
time you
so,
did it?
We just had John's
what it is,
on.
yeah, we did John's on. We had some speakers, we had some artists come and perform.
Oh, yeah, we had a singer.
Yep, we had a trophy table where everybody who was nominated came and they had their certificates. We introduced them, blah, blah, blah. Then we had the presentation of who won the trophy. The person was able to give the speech.
Mm, mm.
Hour later,
Refreshment.
it's over. Yeah.
And then they gave the plaque to her standing in the hall.
Correct. Yeah, but this was like months later.
Right.
Yeah.
And we had
I was there
refreshments.
taking pictures.
You was there? Yeah.
It wouldn't have been in the recorder if I wasn't.
Oh,
there
okay,
taking
okay.
pictures.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was
Right,
definitely,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
and,
nice, yeah.
and I
Yeah.
love it because, it's just, as soon as you said recording, I'm like, I got brain cramp.
I have to say, though, if April 1st is the fiscal year,
Mhm.
we should probably make a request now to have those funds rolled over, otherwise.
Yeah, we'll have to ask Aaron if it automatically, I
Yeah.
honestly don't remember.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know that we had much left over the year before.
Yeah, I think we barely used that
We
budget.
didn't, that's what I mean. I know we
Yeah.
didn't. So we were saving it
Mhm.
for the ceremony
that.
and then we didn't, so.
All right, so, yeah, so where we are right now, we have 7. So, I definitely like what, Paul said, because if this would have been done 7 consecutive years, there would have been a process.
Mm.
So we had the first year, 7 years off, I take over, boom, bam, bam, let's do this.
Yeah.
Roxanne was still in office, as a matter of fact.
Right.
And I said, Roxanne, what's going on with this plaque? I said, we have a plaque? She said, yeah. I said, nobody does nothing?
Right,
She said, no, she said, Empress, you should take that on as your baby, of course.
right.
So
Thank
this
you.
is the second year, well, last year, this was the third year. But yeah, but this is the process for now. Our goal is to change the process.
Something for you.
Going forward.
You know, our goal
Yeah.
is by the end of the year, we will have a new process going forward. And, but for right now, we have 7 individuals. And,
Do we just vote?
we just vote.
All right, let's do it.
So how many votes for Don? Okay. Og, who works at 10 Forward. Jason Rivard. Jane Finn. Devon Brown,
1.
Wendy Goodman,
I can't vote for that.
Well, you can only vote one.
I
Wendy.
forgot.
You can only.
Nancy. All right, so it seems like the winner will be Wendy Goodman. What I would like to do, just to take a little pressure off, which I know Nate's gonna send out the minutes between 24 and 72 hours, but I was wondering if we could all get together through email, put together a statement, because I'm sure when we release this to the recorder, that we have a formal statement going forward and some of the reasons why she was picked. I think that would be phenomenal. And just to try to put off some of that energy that's gonna be out there. But I think that's a great,
So if, in order to do that, if you could either cut and put just the piece there
yeah, that's
about her and just to send it out to us because there's,
I can also,
there's the the content, not necessarily the.
yeah, what I can do is I can actually resend this out because I already sent it out before. And I know there's so many emails sometimes that goes out.
I don't.
You and Paul didn't get it.
Oh, okay.
Right, you wouldn't have gotten it.
Yeah, but I'll resend it out.
Yeah, and that way I can see
Yeah.
that.
And just with Wendy's, not the others.
Yeah, I'll just send Wendy's out. She has a paragraph right there, so.
Right, and I think what everybody said, if everybody puts their line in,
Yeah.
we could write it up in a way that it would be
Press release.
presented well, right?
Press release.
So the question is, when does the ceremony happen?
All right, yes, so.
well,
Who informs her that it's at the end of the world?
Yeah, we'll inform her. So as far as dates go. Kathleen,
Mhm.
we had it on a weekend before, right?
No, we had it on a Monday night
Was it a
right before
Monday?
the holidays. It was
Okay.
a lot, remember?
That
We
week.
talked about having it on a weekend and we had it on the day of, what was the day?
Human rights.
Human rights.
Yeah, we had it on that day.
We had it actually on that day.
That's December 10th, right?
Yeah, and we had it on that day, yeah.
That was
Good of
Quinn's,
you to know.
that was Quinn's idea. That was.
Yeah, it was great, but it was a hard time of year to have a lot of people, but we got a pretty good turnout.
We definitely
all in
did.
all.
What's the night? What,
Right. It was just, you know,
Um,
the holidays and a Monday and all of it.
So,
when is there not a big meeting at the Zon
yeah, that's
We have-
true.
Council and
Right,
I could get in contact with Hope.
yeah. And I mean, if you want me to get in contact with Hope, it's right by my house and I know Hope
Is,
takes something off. your
are you
plate.
picking the John Zahn
Yeah.
because it can be televised? Or
No.
because you could have it in the
Because-
community room at the library as well,
Oh,
100 people.
yeah, that is a nice room. I've
That
been
is a
to
nice
things like
room.
that, like that, right, we're allowed to have it at the library. I know we do it at the John Zahn because
Yes,
it's part of the
you can have
town.
it at the library, but you can't, but there's, trying to remember, I guess. I get, yes, they can do, if you had it by, Greenfield Community Television, they can do it in the big room.
They can do it there. too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know they've done other things there.
what night is it open late?
We're gonna.
Oh, what, at the library would be Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday?
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I could give
So what
I'll call
time frame are you looking at?
I could give a call to Pamela McBride.
Yes, that's
So,
the right person.
mhm. I know she's mad at
Yeah,
me.
'cause-
I can call her if you want. I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
I'll be happy to do that. Just give me a time frame.
Kind of thing, or is it
It's usually earlier than that. so
Right
people
after,
can come
yeah, 5 to
afterwards.
6.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to do 7 to 8 because that's too
Yeah,
late.
Okay,
that's
so
too late.
I just didn't know.
5 or
Yeah.
6.
5 to 6 or
Six,
Usually, yeah.
after
Yeah.
5:30
to 6:30.
But what month do you want to have it in? Emma?
It's in April.
Yeah,
April sounds great.
This April?
Yeah. So,
I don't
Not-
do school vacation week, if you don't mind.
And not the
That's-
second.
what week is that?
That
21st.
is the
21st.
20, yeah.
Okay. So we have the week of the 4th, the 11th, or the 18th.
And
And I
not-
would like to do it on Friday or a
Okay.
Saturday
Well,
weekend.
that week's good.
That's
Friday.
not-
I'll have it.
No, you can't.
You can't do it at the library. It's a Monday.
Libraries
Tuesday.
on
Oh,
Monday,
Monday,
Tuesday,
Tuesday,
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Oh, yeah, so that would,
What am I doing?
7, 8, 9, 14, 15, 16.
because if we did a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, then it would conflict. We would be in the same problems that we were in last time.
Our meeting.
Is that,
As far as, well, it can't be the second Monday, so the 14th would be out if it was a Monday.
Or the last week of the month.
so the 8th
28th.
is the second.
No, that's the second Tuesday. It's a Monday. The first Monday is
Sorry,
the 7th.
sorry,
It's
yeah,
okay. Confusing.
That's
I'm just
all
saying, I'm just looking at it.
You could do the 7th
The 7th of April.
of April.
That's
Hang
our,
on.
isn't that our meeting? No.
Yeah, ours is the 14th.
Yeah, ours would be the 4th. Yeah.
All right, do you want me to ask her for the 7th? And if she doesn't have the 7th, would you want the 21st? That's school vacation, so no, so the
Or
28th?
the 28th?
Or do you want to move to a Tuesday or a Wednesday of the week of the 7th? I guess it's the big question.
Can't do the.
Okay.
I really don't like the Mondays.
Okay.
Because, but that's not my, I'm just saying me personally. I don't
Well,
like
Monday is not a good day for people in
Yeah.
general because people just, the
Right.
Monday thing is a
Well,
thing.
What about just looking at the 9th, the 16th and the
Yeah.
30th?
The 9th, what about the 9th?
9th looks good. Wednesday, the
The
9th.
ninth, that's good.
Yeah, Wednesday, the night looks good for me.
Okay, if she doesn't have it, can you do on the 16th instead?
Yep.
Okay,
I could.
And it will be what, 5 to 6:30?
yeah. And then we can discuss snacks, budgets. Though I have to say, the library is probably more set up than the Zahn Center. We had to set up ourselves, like, because you have to put away the chairs. I think
Yeah,
the library is all set.
This will
so
be
it's-
out.
Yeah, it's
I'm
like
looking,
easier.
yep, there's only, I don't know which, I'm trying to interpret the library count. You can go right on.
On the line,
and See
yeah.
if that room is already.
Right, oh, yeah,
reserved.
okay.
Good work. Oh,
And, I'm just trying to, figure out,
We said 5 to 6.
right,
5 to 6:30.
what the code is, what green is versus.
Oh, the mayor came, so.
No,
like,
I
there's-
see.
Yeah, that's a given, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
So-
better have the mayor. Yes.
Mayor let everything we do. So,
Yeah, just try to do it as quickly as you can.
I can call her tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
It looks open to you,
If the personal growth book club,
right?
if they're not meeting, no, if they're not meeting in that room,
Yeah.
it's open.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
And there are 2 rooms. Yeah. there are-
There's
Right,
one
but you need the
across way,
big room.
too.
Yeah.
We need the big.
We
room,
need the
but I'm
big
just
room.
saying,
Right.
yes, the other one is,
the personal
Yeah.
growth, maybe.
one is the,
It's a smaller
Alright.
group.
And then Erin.
I will
check-
call her tomorrow
Erin
and then I can
check the-
email everybody.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
On the
so-
date.
So the sooner, and you could just send everybody
And the
Yeah,
Erin
yes,
gets to
I
check the
will.
mayor's schedule.
and just, send
And
everybody.
Erin can check the mayor's schedule before
I'll
you
talk to
even
her.
do, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
April
she's,
9th.
usually there's a person here, but they're not. Right, should we check the mayor's schedule before we do the library?
I think we should try to get everything ball rolling.
Okay.
Because we could CC Erin on the
Yeah.
email tomorrow. And
Okay,
just try to see if we get that all set up, because at the same time, we still have to get the press release together to send that out.
right,
because April, I do the newsletter for the
I'll put it out.
friends, and
Mhm.
I'll know in 3 days from now
oh, okay,
that they've
Okay,
all the stuff that's booked in April.
right. And-
So
Yeah,
you should try that first.
yeah, no, I will
That's gonna
call
be the
her
hardest
first thing.
thing to get is the room.
Great.
Right, and then if we get that book.
I'll be
then we
right
can
on
just
it.
go Right through there. Awesome, and then we could work on the press release and get this going, and what I could do tomorrow is I'll start getting the trophy engraved. That's fun. All right.
Okay.
All right, and then contact
Snacks
Wendy.
and-
So, all right, so the time now is 7:35. That's the time that the meeting is closing down. So right now I'm gonna make a motion to close the meeting out.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Hi, Peggy,
Yes. Jose.
Kathleen,
Present.
Chris,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
and Nate is a yes.
Okay, awesome. And just one more thing. It's April 14th. I must have been doing two different computers at one time for our next meeting, 6 to 7:30, right here.
All right,
All right.
great, good work.
Thank you.